She was cold, hungry, and invisible to the world. But when the little homeless girl whispered, "Can I eat with you?" to the city's richest man, no one expected his answer would leave the entire restaurant in tears and change both of their lives forever. What he did next will break your heart and restore your faith in humanity. Stay with us, because this is a story you'll never forget. The golden glow of chandeliers danced across the marble floor of La Riviere, the city's most prestigious restaurant. Crystal glasses chimed faintly as waiters in pressed uniforms moved like clockwork, refilling wine and clearing empty plates. Laughter and hushed conversations floated in the air, mingling with the rich aroma of saffron risotto and rosemary-infused lamb dot at a corner table. Daniel Carter sat alone. Daniel, a man in his late 30s with an air of quiet sophistication, was dressed impeccably in a tailored charcoal suit. His watch, a limited edition piece worth more than most people's cars, caught the light as he swirled a glass of Bordeaux without taking a sip. Plates of exquisite food sat before him. A delicate appetizer of smoked salmon tartare, a main of truffle pasta, and a small chocolate soufflé waiting for dessert. Yet his appetite was absent, and so was his interest. He scrolled through his phone, eyes scanning emails and market reports, but none of it held his attention. To the world, Daniel had everything: wealth, influence, a name that commanded respect in boardrooms. But beneath the surface, annoying emptiness spread like ivy through his heart. Just beyond the glass doors of La Riviere, Ava, a girl no older than 8, stood barefoot on the icy cobblestone street. Her oversized hoodie, frayed at the sleeves, did little to protect her from the biting winter air. Her stomach ached, but she had long grown used to the dull pain. For nearly an hour, she'd been watching the parade of guests entering the restaurant, their laughter echoing like a cruel melody. Ava wasn't begging, not yet. She simply watched, her wide brown eyes fixed on plates of food being carried in and scraps being thrown out. A waiter emerged from the kitchen, balancing a tray of half-eaten filet mignon and garlic potatoes destined for the trash. Ava took a cautious step forward. "Oi! You there!" the waiter snapped when he spotted her. "Get away from here, girl. You don't belong on this street, let alone near our door." She flinched and darted behind a stone pillar, her small body trembling. The smell of butter and baked bread taunted her senses. Ava closed her eyes. "Just ask," she whispered to herself. "Maybe, just this once." Clutching her frayed hoodie tight, she summoned the courage she didn't know she had. Her bare feet padded across the cold patio stones, past white linen tables and glasses that sparkled like stars. Gasps rippled through the room. "Is that a child?" murmured a woman. "In pearls. Where's the manager?" "Security should keep these vagrants out," said a man in a navy blazer. Ava ignored them all. Her gaze was fixed on the man in the corner, the one with untouched plates and sad eyes. "Excuse me." Her voice was barely audible. Daniel looked up from his phone, startled. The sight of the small, fragile girl standing before him was so out of place it felt like a dream. Can I eat with you?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry. I haven't eaten in 2 days." The restaurant fell silent. Cutlery paused mid-air. The waiter, already marching toward Ava, stopped in his tracks. "Sir," the waiter said tightly, "shall I remove her?" Daniel blinked, still processing the moment. Something about the girl, the way her thin frame shivered, the desperation in her eyes pierced a part of him he thought was long dead. Years ago, Daniel too had been a hungry boy. He'd stood outside bakeries, hoping someone would toss him a crust of bread. No one ever had. "Sir," the waiter pressed, "should I call security?" Daniel's voice came out stronger than he expected. "No." A murmur swept the room. "Bring another plate," Daniel said firmly. "Sir?" The waiter blinked in confusion. "You heard me. The best dish the kitchen can prepare. And make it quick." Ava's eyes widened. "Really?" she whispered. Daniel nodded and motioned to the chair beside him. Come sit, little one. Tonight, you're my guest. The restaurant erupted in hushed whispers. He's lost his mind, muttered a man. A millionaire dining with a beggar child? Disgraceful, another scoffed. Daniel ignored them all. He knelt down so he was eye level with Ava. What's your name? Ava, she said, clutching her sleeves. Ava, I'm Daniel, and tonight you don't have to worry about anything. As she cautiously climbed into the chair, the head waiter stiffly placed a basket of warm bread in front of her. Ava's fingers hovered over it, then snatched a roll as though it might vanish. Slow down, Daniel said gently. There's plenty. Ava's eyes filled with tears as she took her first bite. Thank you, she whispered. I thought no one cared. For the first time in years, Daniel felt something stir in his chest, a flicker of warmth, fragile, but real. All around them, forks remained poised in midair. The clink of silverware had gone utterly silent. Ava clutched the warm bread roll in her tiny hands as though it was treasure. The soft dough melted in her mouth, and her stomach cramped painfully from the sudden food. She slowed down when Daniel's calm voice reached her ears. Easy, Ava. There's no need to rush. You'll have as much as you want. Her big brown eyes darted nervously around the room. Dozens of strangers stared at her, some with pity, others with disdain. A woman whispered loudly enough for Ava to hear. This is outrageous. Someone like her doesn't belong in a place like this. Daniel looked up sharply, his cool blue eyes locking onto the woman's. And yet here she is, while everyone else pretends she doesn't exist, he said evenly. The woman quickly looked away, fumbling for her glass of wine. The waiter returned with a steaming plate of roasted chicken, buttery mashed potatoes, and green beans sautéed with garlic. He set it down carefully in front of Ava, avoiding her eyes. Thank you, sir, Ava said, her voice so quiet Daniel barely heard her. You're welcome, he replied gently. Eat as much as you'd like. No one will stop you here. As she took her first bite of chicken, tears streamed silently down her dirt-streaked cheeks. She hadn't tasted real food in days, not since the last shelter she'd tried to stay in turned her away for being too full. Daniel's chest tightened. He remembered his own childhood nights sleeping in stairwells, afternoons digging through trash bins for scraps of food. He'd buried those memories under years of success and luxury. Now they came rushing back, raw and painful. What about your parents? Daniel asked softly, his voice careful. Ava swallowed hard. Mama got sick last year. She went to heaven. Her little fingers twisted in her tattered sleeve. And Daddy said he couldn't take care of me anymore. He left. Daniel's jaw tightened. He left you? Ava nodded. Said I'd find someone better. But I didn't. Nobody wanted me. Daniel reached across the table and gently took her small, cold hand in his warm one. You're not too much trouble, Ava. Don't ever think that. You deserve care and kindness and a home. Around them, the clinking of forks had stopped. Completely. Waiters stood frozen. Diners shifted uncomfortably, guilt flickering across their faces. Sir, the restaurant manager interrupted, stepping forward nervously. Would you like us to call child services? No, Daniel's voice was firm. She's staying with me. Ava's head shot up, her wide eyes full of fear and hope. You mean you're not going to send me away? Never, Daniel said, his voice cracking slightly. You're coming with me. We'll get you warm clothes, a safe bed to sleep in, and tomorrow, he smiled faintly. Tomorrow we'll have pancakes for breakfast. Ava let out a small sob and clung to his arm. I'll be good. I promise I'll be good. Daniel hugged her gently. You already are, sweetheart. You don't have to prove anything. The restaurant was silent. A man in expensive suit dabbed at his eyes with a napkin. The same woman who'd sneered earlier now stared into her lap, ashamed. Sir, The head waiter said quietly. If there's anything we can do, yes, Daniel interrupted. Box up everything in the kitchen that's still fresh. I want it donated to the nearest shelter, tonight. The staff hesitated, then nodded as Daniel stood, lifting Ava into his arms. A few diners rose as well, not in protest, but in quiet. Respect. You're a good man, said an older gentleman near the door. Daniel didn't respond. His thoughts were elsewhere, on the small, fragile girl nestled against his chest, and on the boy he once was. He carried Ava outside into the cold night. His sleek black car waited by the curb, the driver watching with wide eyes as Daniel opened the door himself. Are you rich? Ava asked softly as he wrapped a warm blanket around her shoulders. Daniel hesitated, then smiled faintly. I thought I was. But tonight I finally feel like I have something worth more than all the money in the world. Ava's lips curved into a sleepy smile as she curled up in the seat. You're the nicest person I've ever met, she whispered. Tears pricked Daniel's eyes. And you, Ava, are the bravest little girl I've ever known. The car pulled away from the restaurant, leaving behind murmurs and whispers that would ripple through the city for days. The car purred softly as it glided through the city's sleeping streets. Ava's eyelids drooped, but every time she began to drift off, her body jerked awake. She was afraid to relax. Afraid this was all a dream. Daniel noticed. It's okay. Ava, you're safe now, I promise. She looked up at him, her big brown eyes full of questions. Are you really going to keep me? Daniel's throat tightened. Yes, you're not going back to the streets. Ava hugged the blanket closer, her tiny frame trembling. She whispered, Nobody's ever wanted me before. Daniel looked out the window, memories pressing in like ghosts. He remembered cold nights in his teens, curled up under an overpass, telling himself he didn't need anyone. He'd built walls around his heart so high, even he couldn't see over them. And yet this little girl had just walked straight through them. The car turned onto a quiet, tree-lined street and stopped in front of a sleek, modern house. Lights glowed softly inside. Ava stared. This is your house? She asked in awe. It's our house now, Daniel said gently. He scooped her up as if she weighed nothing and carried her inside. The warmth and faint scent of vanilla candles made Ava's eyes widen. Wow, she breathed. It's like a palace. Daniel chuckled. It's just a house. A home isn't about size or gold chandeliers. It's about feeling safe. You'll see. He set her down in a guest room, the walls painted a calming pale blue. A plush bed covered in soft blankets sat waiting. Ava hovered near the doorway, afraid to step in. Can I really sleep here? She asked. You don't even have to ask. Ava climbed onto the bed, sinking into the mattress with a small squeak of surprise. It's so soft, she whispered. Daniel smiled, then handed her a pair of clean pajamas. Let's get you out of those old clothes, okay? I'll bring you some warm milk. When he returned, Ava had curled up under the covers, her tattered dress folded neatly on the chair. She took the mug of milk with both hands, savoring the warmth. Why are you so nice to me? She asked softly. You don't even know me. Daniel knelt by the bed. I know enough, Ava. I know you're brave and kind, and you didn't deserve any of what happened to you. Her lips trembled. I tried to be good, but nobody wanted me. Daniel swallowed hard. It's not about being good enough. You are enough, just as you are. A tear slid down Ava's cheek. Will you still want me tomorrow? Daniel brushed her hair back gently. Ava, I don't just want you tomorrow. I want you every tomorrow after that. You're not alone anymore. For the first time in months, Ava let herself believe him. Her eyelids fluttered shut as exhaustion finally won. Daniel stayed by her, sighed long after her breathing evened out. He studied her small, fragile face, and something deep inside him shifted. For years he'd measured success in numbers, in deals closed, profits gained, awards won. But sitting there, he realized none of it had ever made him feel like this. Daniel stood in his office, staring out the window at the quiet street. He sipped a glass of water, his mind restless. A knock broke the silence. His housekeeper, Mrs. Alvarez, peeked in. "Sir, the little girl, is she staying here?" "Yes," Daniel said without hesitation. Mrs. Alvarez's eyes softened. "I saw her face. She's been through a lot." "She has," Daniel agreed. "I'm going to make sure she never has to feel that kind of fear again." "You always were a good man," Mrs. Alvarez said with a gentle smile. "Just needed the right person to remind you." The next morning, Ava woke to the smell of pancakes and maple syrup. She padded into the kitchen, wide-eyed at the spread on the table. "You made all this?" she asked. "I had help," Daniel admitted, nodding toward Mrs. Alvarez. "But I made the pancakes myself." Ava giggled. "They're shaped like hearts." "Thought you deserved something special." She climbed onto the chair and began eating cautiously at first, then with growing excitement. Halfway through breakfast, the doorbell rang. Daniel frowned. "Stay here, Ava. I'll see who it is." When he opened the door, a tall man stood on the porch, disheveled, eyes bloodshot, and hands stuffed into his coat pockets. "Can I help you?" Daniel asked coolly. The man shifted uncomfortably. I'm looking for my daughter. Her name's Ava. I heard she was here." Daniel's stomach dropped. "You're her father?" The man nodded. "I didn't know where else to go." Asterisk. The man standing on Daniel's porch seemed out of place in the quiet, upscale neighborhood. His coat was torn at the seams, his boots caked in mud, and his eyes darted nervously. "I'm looking for my daughter," he said again, voice low and unsteady. "Her name's Ava." Daniel's jaw tightened. He glanced back toward the kitchen, where Ava's laughter drifted out like sunlight. "And you are?" "I'm her father, Martin." Daniel's fists clenched at his sides. He remembered Ava's words from the night before. He left after Mama died. Sighed, "I was too much trouble." "You abandoned her," Daniel said flatly. Martin winced. I made mistakes. I didn't know how to raise her after her mother passed. I thought the system would take care of her, but I was wrong. I've been looking for her ever since." Daniel studied the man's hollow cheeks and trembling hands. Was this guilt or an act? "She's been through enough," Daniel said coldly. "If you're here to hurt her again, no." Martin said quickly, "I swear I'm not. I've been sober for 6 months. I got a job. A small apartment. I want to make things right." Daniel hesitated. A part of him wanted to slam the door and shield Ava from any more pain. But another part whispered, what if he's telling the truth? What if this little girl deserves the chance to know her father? "Stay here," Daniel said sharply. "Don't move a muscle." He stepped back into the kitchen. Ava was licking syrup from her fingers, her face lit with a rare, carefree smile. "Sweetheart," Daniel said gently, "there's someone here asking to see you." Her smile vanished. "Who?" "Your father." Ava froze. Her fork clattered onto the plate. Outside, Ava stood behind Daniel, clutching his hand like a lifeline. Martin's eyes filled with tears the moment he saw her. "Ava," he whispered, dropping to his knees. "You've grown so much." Ava pressed closer to Daniel. "Why are you here?" she asked in a small voice. "I came to take you home," Martin said softly. "To our home. I know I failed you before, but I've changed. I promise I'll never leave again." Daniel felt Ava's grip tighten. "You said I was too much trouble," she whispered. Martin's face crumpled. "I was wrong. You weren't too much trouble. You were the only thing that kept me going after your mama died. I was weak. I'm so sorry, baby girl." Ava blinked up at Daniel, her eyes brimming with confusion and fear. "Do I have to go with him?" Daniel knelt in front of her. "No, Ava. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. But I won't lie to you, he is your father. And if he really has changed, maybe he deserves a chance to show you. Ava looked at Martin, then back at Daniel. But I'm safe here, she said. Daniel's heart twisted. You'll always be safe here. And you'll always have me no matter what you choose. Ava's lips trembled. Can I think about it? Of course, Daniel said softly. That evening, Ava sat on the porch swing, staring at the sunset. Martin waited on the steps, hands clasped, while Daniel stood in the doorway, watching over her. Do you really have a home now? Ava asked. Martin quietly, yes, he said. It's not fancy like this, but it's warm, and it's yours too, if you want it. Ava thought for a long moment. Do you love me? Martin's voice cracked. More than anything in this world. I was too broken to show it before. But I'll spend the rest of my life proving it to you if you let me. Ava's small fingers twisted in her lap. Then she said softly, I already have someone who loves me. Martin's breath hitched. Daniel? She nodded. He makes me feel safe, like Mama used to. Tears ran down Martin's face. He looked up at Daniel. You've been taking care of her? I have, Daniel said simply. Thank you, Martin whispered. There was no anger in his voice. Just gratitude and grief. The next morning, Martin knocked on Daniel's door again. But this time, he wasn't asking to take Ava away. I wanted to say goodbye, Martin said. Ava deserves the best, and I can see you're giving it to her. I don't want to confuse her life any more than I already have. You're just leaving? Daniel asked, surprised. I'll stay. In touch, but only if she wants me to. She deserves to feel safe. She deserves to feel chosen. Daniel's throat tightened. That's the first right thing you've said since you got here. Martin knelt and hugged Ava gently. I'll never stop loving you, little one. I'm going to be a better man for you. Ava buried her face in his coat. I forgive you, she whispered when Martin left. Daniel crouched beside her. You okay? Ava looked up at him. You won't leave too, will you? Never, Daniel said. You're my family now, really? Really? Ava threw her arms around his neck. Then, can I call you Dad? Daniel's heart shattered and reformed in an instant. He hugged her tight. I'd be honored. As the sun rose higher, they stood there on the porch, no longer two lost souls, but a family. Sometimes family isn't the one we're born into. It's the one we find, or the one that finds us. And one act of kindness can change everything, not just for someone else, but for you too.